right now we'd like to bring on a young man who believes in doing things his own way. And based on the way he kind of get next to all of the folks who've seen him work, his way has got to be pretty hip. So let's lay some noise.
Listen out, nigga.
2000 and beyond.
To fight this so-called democracy. But when they get back down to...
Okay, back into it. You started doing your artwork and just kind of found out that it just kind of took to you. Like, it was one of those things you got as a young kid in art classes and everything, and you just kind of picked up on it. It felt like one of the things that you could do better than others, right?
Yeah, I think there was always a somewhat natural ability there, but there was also too, growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, there's not a reasonable way to make art as a profession, really, unless you were just amazing. It's kind of like the thought was you don't make money as an artist until you're dead, or you don't become famous as an artist till you're dead. That's kind of what I was always brought up with. But then in college, I was introduced to tattoos, and I said, hey, man, I'm getting these tattoos and they're not that good. And I just paid this guy $300, like, I think I could do better than this. So that's what kind of got me serious about, making art as for money instead of just for fun was the tattoo aspect of it.
Right. I mean, like a lot of other people, when you start finding out you can do stuff and you can actually make money on it, you just kind of, you start doing it and then you kind of start getting a little bit more serious about it and everything like that.
There's a big difference too when you first start out. It's like someone could start out and play the guitar and it's like, oh, this is pretty good, but you don't know how much you don't know. There's a whole world out there of art that it's like, okay, I can do this, but it's crazy. It's it takes a while to do it a lot to where you start getting actually good at it, not just good compared to what your parents or your grandparents think.
Right. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. That's kind of like it's pretty much anything. If you try to be good at it, you can't just try to get good at the time that you need to get good at it. You kind of have to practice your craft and kind of be one of those kind of things.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and you're a native of the Tampa area.
Yep, I'm born in Tampa General Hospital. I grew up there most of my life. Moved to Tallahassee when I was 18, and then kind of come back to Sarasota about 14 years ago. So I'm still in the I consider Sarasota the Tampa Bay area, I guess, but
I mean, it definitely is. Yeah,
we got a different area code, but it used to be 813 down here.
Right. I mean, it's still pretty much it's still pretty much considered Tampa. Yeah, kind of like everything else is considered Orlando, although even though it's like an hour away and 2 hours.
Yeah, it's
away.
Definitely it's Bucks-town in Sarasota. It's not
Right.
It's not Miami Dolphins town or anything.
No. Well, I know you still do got a lot of older folks up down there from Miami. I found that out. Like I didn't realize it.
What we got a lot of here is Buffalo Bills people that have moved down and Pittsburgh Steelers people that have moved down. And then you got the occasional Ohio person. You got somebody that's a Cleveland Browns, grew up liking them, and they kind of maybe switched to Tampa because when they moved down here 20 years ago or something. But a lot of Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh fans.
Yeah, super random. I mean, that's pretty much all of Central Florida like that too, though, man. It's like you always have always got the Pittsburgh cat, the random New England or Boston crowd.
Yeah, you got some Boston people. Yeah.
Like, how the hell did you even come here? Like, and why did you stay? Yeah. Nah, I mean, obviously we have a lot of those cats down there now too with the acquisition of Tom Brady, who's joined the Bucs.
Oh yeah.
And that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. Because funny enough, man, if you've probably gone to a lot of the Bucs games too, and you've seen like that random blue jersey out of nowhere. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we're playing the Cleveland Browns. What the fuck is this blue jersey doing out of? Of all the other places it could have been. But speaking of the Bucs, though, man, again, you've recently got recognized by a lot of people just been picking up on your work. You've done some pieces on some big name Bucs players, including Mike Allstott, Levante David, Chris Godwin, Evans, and Devin White. And those pieces have started circulating around like in the past 2 to 3 weeks, I'd say. Starting getting a lot of notoriety. And I love every single one of them, man. It's super dope. I see people retweeting the original tweet from like a month and a half ago, and they trying to ask, how can they get a hold of them, and when is the next one coming out? How how is that work going for you? Like, and what was the inspiration for you to start doing like Bucs players?
To be honest with you, man, I don't even know how it came to what it's been right now. I've never even messed with Twitter. I use Instagram and Facebook more. It's more of a visual tool for me, or at least I always thought. And I started a Twitter maybe a couple months ago because nobody in the tattoo shops, they don't care about the Bucs. Every once in a while I get a client that does it, but a lot of artists don't, they don't really follow sports as much. So my wife, she don't care about it. So I got one good friend of mine that I text constantly about the Bucs, and I think he was getting tired of it. So I said, shoot, let me start a Twitter to kind of just follow a couple Bucs things. I think it was free agency was coming up. I was real curious what was going to happen with Jameis and the defense, and I just wanted any sort of kind of inside scoop. And so then the free agency stuff happened, and then the kind of shutdown, the quarantine happened, and being an artist, I got stuff that can kill time, and I said, you know what, man, Brady's getting a lot of love. Levante David is probably one of my favorite players. I'm going to paint him just because I want to show him some respect, not even thinking he'd see it or anything like that. And so I painted that, and I put it on Instagram. I tagged him in it, and he saw it, and he's like, oh, man, this is cool. So that kind of inspired me to, let me do another one. So I did the Chris Godwin one, and he saw it, and he reached out actually asking if I would be willing to sell it. And I said, hey, man, I was just doing this for fun. I'll just give it to you. And I asked him, hey, I got a couple more I'd like to do. If it's cool if I give you this one, could you pass out these other ones? So the 4 original ones that I did, I actually met up with Chris and got those to him, and he's says he's going to be delivering those out. He told me that he'd be doing that. So I just did that for fun, and kind of got a good response from it. And I actually got from posting those, which I wasn't even expecting. I kind of just wanted to share just because I'm a big Bucs fan. So, hey, I want to be in the family too. Of the Bucs supporters. Nobody in physical contact with me cares much about it. So let me get into this world. And man, I posted the pictures, and it just kind of went crazy. I wasn't expecting. I wasn't prepared for it. Yeah. I had to answer a lot of emails, answer a lot of questions. I spent pretty much my whole day just responding to people on my phone, and so that was pretty cool. Actually, from that, I got a commission piece from a hockey team that I haven't been able to post yet because they got something to do with that. But when they post it, I'm going to post that, and I think that'll be cool. But so then the All-Star one I just did, and it's kind of got a similar response as the first one. I wasn't prepared for it. I would have, I'm lucky, blessed that people like it. I wasn't expecting that necessarily because that's not the type of work that I do. That's not what people follow me for. So I kind of just did it for fun, and who knows where it's going to go from here now. I got another one lined up. I'm going to start tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, it wasn't planned. It's kind of organically happened, and over a 3-month thing or so from when I made a Twitter just involving just the Bucs, and it's just kind of not a lot going on right now, so that's what's keeping me busy.
Yeah, man, that All-Star win, that one lit fire in a lot of folks, man. Obviously, one of the reasons being, of course, is Mike Allstott. He's a fan favorite.
Yep.
He's been one of my he's been one of my favorites since I became a Bucs fan, and of course the uniform. The uniform was a big deal. It was like, oh my God, if we could just, I promise you, man, if I guess I just have to ask, how many times have you gotten requests to see like the current players in the older jerseys and the creamsicles just from
all
the
time.
you've seen?
That's one of the I got a lot of people from those first ones that I posted wanting someone in a creamsicle, and I also got a lot of people asking for like an action game shot pose instead of just a portrait of them. So I tried to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone on that. But with the football players, it's hard because they wear helmets, and when they wear the helmets, you don't see their face. So you're kind of painting with the action pose. I originally went with the portraits first so you could see the faces of them, and it's kind of difficult finding good good photo references for some of those sometimes. But and then an issue that you have with the older the creamsicle, a lot of those is the camera quality wasn't as good back then. So a lot of the players' faces, they're just in complete shadow. You can't see nothing. It's a photo that was taken from the sidelines or something, and the zooming wasn't as good. The pixels weren't as good. So that presents a little bit of a challenge with some of the older pictures, though.
Right, because 120 by 120, you're looking at a super small thumbnail of images from all those photos back then. So so that has to present like a super crazy challenge to try to get a good photo reference.
It takes a little bit of time, going through pictures, because you see a lot of the same ones, and sometimes they got their helmet off, but they're making a goofy face or something, and it's like, that doesn't look cool. You don't want to paint them. If you're gonna take your time, because these things take me a little while. I'll probably spend 20 hours or so on each painting, if not more. And if I'm gonna spend that much time, I don't want to waste it with making someone look goofy or silly or something like that. I want to try to make them look cool, and I'm a Bucs fan first, so I'm trying to make them look better than somebody else I would maybe try. So I got to kind of feel through those things. It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. So what's the process like, though? Like, what's the process as far as you selecting a photo or selecting an image? Do you try to sometimes come up with an image yourself, or what you kind of wish or kind of hope the players would do as far as an action, or do you strictly go off of a photo reference?
No, with this stuff, it's strictly photo referencing, because there's so much stuff with the jerseys. Like if you look at the Godwin one, there's little holes in the jersey. If you look at the Mike Evans ones, if you get close on them, it's like I'm trying to get a chrome face mask. I'm trying to get the pewter helmet looking like the lights hitting it. With some of that stuff, it's like when the lights hit a pewter helmet, it looks different colors. It doesn't look, so you want to kind of capture those things. So as of right now, what I'm just doing is kind of reproducing a picture. Now, I would maybe like to expand on that or evolve that in the future. I don't really know what the future holds, to be honest, because this kind of just was like a little quick setup thing. I kind of do the portraits because I got to draw so much for tattooing that I wanted to paint something without having to draw something. The drawing step is a major time consuming piece of the artwork. So most of my paintings, I do drawings and before I get to them. But with the portrait kind of stuff, it's just, I want to paint. I don't want to draw. So I'm going to just reproduce this, and I'm going to kind of see what I can learn from it. It's kind of a learning tool more than anything too,
Yeah. God, I'm trying to relate to my own history of being a little bit of a, someone who can draw, like an illustrator, somebody who can actually just draw and stuff. I never got into painting because I didn't want to take the time. I don't know why. I felt like it was more time consuming for me to do painting than it was for me to sketch stuff out.
It's its own thing. Painting's its own thing. And sometimes you just want to paint and you don't want to draw. Sometimes you just want to draw and you don't want to paint. So some people like doing, pencil sketches or pen and ink sketches. And so that's kind of what it started. I just want to paint. I like painting. I'm a colorist. I like color. That's my, when I'm looking at stuff, I'm looking at how the light is hitting stuff and making it look this color. I'm going, what color paints do I mix to achieve this color? Because, like I'm outside right now. I'm looking at the plants. The plants aren't just green. They got shadows, they got highlights, they make different colors, and it's fun for me to learn about the color part of it. So to just paint, sometimes I'm just wanting to play with colors, and if I do like a portrait of somebody, then that's a way of me not having to deal with the drawing part of it. I just go straight to the painting.
Okay, man. Just listening to an artist speak, man, I'm telling you, because I grew up watching, I grew up watching other people paint and draw and all the stuff. My oldest brother, he used to do comic books. Like he used to just illustrate comic books all the time. So I learned to draw by watching him. So it's always been interesting for me to hear somebody's artistic process or just thought process and a lot of stuff that's deeper than what other people can say or see. So it's always I don't know, it's just so cool to listen to people who speak and hearing artists speak, especially with the work that you displayed so far, man. And I'm pretty damn excited about what the next one could be and possibly would be. But to hear how well you speak on on the artistry itself. It's not just drawing. It's not just painting. It's like these details that you have to get into that a lot of people just can't see until you point out.
Yeah, and a lot of I didn't have any plans or expectations of what was going on, and I kind of said, hey, is there other people painting athletes and stuff like that? And I looked, and there are, but a lot of it looks to me, it's kind of like airbrush kind of stuff. Yeah. It's it has a and I'm not talking down on anybody, but it has a stiffness to it. It doesn't have a flavor to it or like a personality to it. It's just kind of like, hey, we took this guy and we just did this, and his pants are silver and his jersey's white, and the shadows are gray, but that's not how it is. The shadows got color in them. The white is not white necessarily. Maybe it's purple, maybe it's where the light's hitting, it's yellow. And I think a lot of what I saw of the kind of especially football paintings lacked that. They had a lot of technicians where it's like, the helmet looks shiny, the face mask looks like it's made out of metal. I can tell who this person is, but it just lacked like a modernness to it. So I guess that's kind of what I try to bring to it a little bit is just a different taste to it than that.
Yeah. See, now that's a perfect segue, I guess, into the biggest part, or one of the biggest part of the offseason for the Bucs, which is the new uniforms and everything. How did you see those new uniforms, man? How did you like those?
I like it. I think overall they went safe with the red and the white. To me it looks 99% of the uniforms from a few years ago, but with the newer helmet. I like the newer helmet with the oversized logo. Especially I've been going back. I've been doing these paintings. I've been looking at a lot of the older photos and stuff, and the old helmet was just the flag was a lot smaller. The skull was a little goofier. So I like the helmet. I like that they didn't really change that with the except for the face mask. I like that they went back. I think it was a safe decision. I think safe when you're talking about NFL is not a bad thing. I think with the rule, when you change your uniforms, you got to keep them for 5 years. Yeah. Any of these teams that do kind of a modern or futuristic look, it looks old real fast. For example, I think Atlanta's uniforms are going to look in 3-4 years, they're going to be outdated. It's going to be like, oh, these were cool in 2020, but man, it's 2023. We're doing this now. We're on to, everybody's got this kind of stuff going or this kind of stuff going. So I think the safe is good with the football uniforms. And I really like the pewter. I like the all pewter. I think that looks nice.
Yeah, I think those Atlanta Falcons jerseys are, some of them. They got a few of them. Some of them are straight trash. Absolute trash.
And I like that people try new things. Yeah. Like they got that fade one. I don't personally like it.
Nobody does.
Yeah, it has an arena league feel to it me, or something like that.
High school.
So I like sometimes what the college teams do. They kind of change it out a little bit, but with the pros, I don't know. It's got a different feel to it. I think those are not going to age well.
No, I mean, yeah. When you're talking about a professional league, you want to think long term. Like what we just did with our new uniforms or our old uniforms, the last iteration, like that was way too far left for a lot of people. I didn't mind them. I really didn't care for them that badly. But they went. I think they just went. They were definitely dated the moment that they came out.
Yeah.
So that was
I agree.
That was an issue. And one of my good friends, someone I've met on Twitter, one of the reporters for the Tampa Bay Times, Thomas Bassinger, he was one of the guys who started this whole campaign, or he was one of the more vocal cats talking about changing the uniforms for the children because he thought those were like the worst uniforms in the history of uniforms. I don't know how much I agreed with it, but holy hell, it was hilarious. How bad it got.
I think once Jacksonville changed their uniforms and put the Bucs at the bottom, in my opinion, they were just they just didn't age well. I thought I gave them a chance when they first came out. I liked them. A lot of people had trouble with the fonts, but I was thinking it was something that would grow on me, and it kind of did the opposite. It grew away from me. I'm just like, man, they're just hard to look at. But also some of it too is I think a little bit has to do with the play on the field while wearing them. A lot of the people didn't want to go back to the creamsicles and stuff too, because they think, they were so bad with the creamsicles for so many years, blah, blah, blah. But you kind of removed from that now. But and now it's kind of cool because there's so many teams with red. I don't know. I mean, I think probably a quarter of the teams got red as one of their primary colors.
Pretty much.
So that creamsicle, it's something different, and there's not a lot of teams. I think Miami's kind of got a unique color palette combination, but there's a lot of silver, there's a lot of black, a lot of red, and I was kind of hoping maybe they'd get a little sneak of that in there, but I also totally understand the direction they went with it too. But
yeah, I was I kind of figured there wasn't going to be there wasn't going to be any return to the creamsicle due to the helmet rule, which
right.
I was familiar with for a while.
And I love the Bucs helmet, so I wouldn't want them to change it just for that.
What do you think about the changing it back to black, the face mask instead of the chrome?
When the chrome came out, I really liked it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a nice little twist. But I kind of forgot that it used to be black, honestly. And going back and seeing the black pictures, I like the black. I think it looks tough. It looks mean. I think the Bucs are going to hopefully have a tough, mean team this year. So I don't know. It just kind of feels right. It's kind of like the uniforms changing. It just feels right. Kind of like when they did that in '97, it just felt like okay, this is different. It's not the Bucs of the last 5 years, 6 years. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I get my hopes up every year. So every single year.
Don't we all, man?
Yeah,
don't we all? That's what fans do. So I guess looking forward to this year, moving away from the uniforms and everything. Obviously, you've seen the draft. What do you think of this year's draft, and how do you feel about the Bucs' chances with the acquisitions that we've gotten? We got some pretty big names that have come on, some brand names, as I have to call them. We got brand names like, what's that guy's name? Tom Brady. And what's the other dude's name? Gronkowski.
Yeah, we got Gronkowski. Yeah, I mean, we got a bunch. There's a bunch of names. I think there's a bunch of people that would have names if they were on any other team, like Levante David. He would be a name.
Yep.
I think some people forget about Jason Pierre-Paul. I think he's going to be even better this year. Personally, not coming off of a fractured neck. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm excited to see the defense. I'm excited about the draft, but again, every year, I'm not a scout, so I don't know. I just go, hey man, Antoine Winfield Jr. Yeah, let's do it. 40. I think he looks good. We'll see.
He looks the part, man. He looks the part.
I mean, I just every time the Bucs draft, it's like if you ever play fantasy football, you draft your team, you think your team's going to win. So I'm kind of like that. I think the Bucs win the draft every year. I think the Bucs win free agency every year. But like I said, I'm not a scout, so I got an airplane going over me real quick.
You good?
So yeah, I'm happy with the draft. I think they hit on things. There's a lot of people that really wanted them to take a running back in the second round. I'm glad personally they didn't. I like the defensive pick. I think the running backs I think there's a larger pool of good running backs than there are of good safeties, and the Bucs have needed a good safety. So I like the Antoine Winfield pick in the second round. Obviously if they choose that, they're going to miss out on some of the higher end running backs that were going to go in the draft. But I'm excited to see what Ronald Jones is going to do. I can't remember how many plays I saw him go for 20 or 40 yards last year that got called back from a penalty or some sort of hold or illegal formation or something like that. So I think he's got it in him. I think he's going to do good, but I'm a optimist when it comes to the Bucs. So
same here, man. Optimist prime is what I call myself because you kind of have to be. Was there anybody who's like a favorite? Did you have like a favorite player in this draft that you kind of hoped the Bucs would go for?
I always like the skill positions. I was seeing in some of the mock drafts, maybe them drafting a wide receiver if the offensive tackles were gone, and I would have been okay with that. I think that would have been kind of fun. I also, there was talks a couple years ago of maybe Saquon Barkley falling to the Bucs, and it's like if that would happen, that would, it's like I like the kind of guys that are touching the ball. I'd like to see that. I think the offensive linemen are very necessary picks, but I don't watch the game and go, man, that offensive lineman laid that guy out. I go, oh man, did you see that catch that Mike Evans made, or did you see that run that this guy did, or that guy did, or that pass, or something like that. So I think the offensive lineman can kind of get overlooked of the necessity. So I think that's probably a smart pick. But I like the drama and stuff of hey, we're gonna just have all these wide receivers, and somebody's gonna get open. We're not gonna have a lot of time to pass protect, but one of these 5 guys will get open.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people are. I mean, you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily see the how do I even put it? They don't see some people don't see the necessity of drafting a good offensive lineman. Some people don't get excited about it. I'm one of the people who don't get super excited about it, depending on which position it is. I kind of railed for a while. I kind of was like, yo, we don't take a right tackle in the first round. Like, I know we need a right tackle as a starter, but don't take one in the first round. That was me the entire time.
It's kind it's the situation the Bucs are in, because I hear a lot of they're in win now mode, which I hate it. To a certain extent it's true that they are, but at the same time I think that's only because of the coach and quarterback situation. I think the plan is for the GM. He wants his job safe, and if it's just 2 years and the thing blows up, then he's gone. So yeah, he'll have got his ring, but if it blows up and they're a bad team, he's eventually going to be gone. So it's in his best interest to build a good team and be able to get through this. And but to a certain extent, they are in this kind of, hey, what's our weakest position? There's no time to have a weakness to rely on, because they're trying to take advantage of Bruce's age and Tom's age. And maybe some of the other guys' age, like Levante David. I don't know how much longer he's going to be around. Hopefully more than a couple years. But kind of once it's time to pay a couple people, they're going to have to pay Godwin pretty soon. They're going to have to pay maybe some of the people they drafted last year. Vita Vea is going to have to get paid pretty soon, I imagine. Yep. So once some of these people start getting top market money, well, I didn't think Derek Brooks was going to get cut when he got cut, but so it could be here sooner than later before we know it. But you'll still have some of the younger guys getting re-signed. It's going to be interesting to watch. But the Bucs have honestly, man, they've been so bad for the last 10, 12 years that I'll take a good 1 or 2 good years.
So you're good with the selling out for the 1 year, 2 year, and then back to the 17.
If the Bucs win the Super Bowl this year, it'll be like the Dolphins that went undefeated. They'll been the only team to have won in their home stadium, and they'll have to talk about that every single time the Super Bowl comes up. So if we got 12 bad years and then that sandwiched between another 12 bad years, I think I might be okay with that. Dude, if we can do it this year in Tampa, I'd maybe be okay with that.
That's the first time I heard somebody actually say that, and I'm like, you know what? That's an answer I can actually live with, because that's exactly what it could be.
They'll have to talk about the Bucs. The Miami Dolphins, they've been just as bad as the Bucs probably over the last 8 to 10 years, but they got that undefeated season, and they're the only team to do it. And every time that last team loses, well, then they're going to say, oh, well, the 72 Dolphins, they, still the only undefeated team. So, when that Super Bowl's in Los Angeles next year, as soon as the Chargers and the Rams are out of it, well, then, hey, Tampa Bay is still the only team to have ever done that, one in their home stadium. That, they might be mentioning that week 8, week 9, when some of these teams that are hosting the Super Bowl are already out of it, so.
That couldn't be any more perfect, man. That is the perfect name. I'm going to reference this point every single time.
Yeah, man, that's something to be excited about. That's history, man, and it'll be that way for probably quite some time if it happens.
Yeah, that's man, that's funny. I thought about that for like a very short time, like literally for like probably not even a minute, when I thought about this whole win now situation, because I hate it. I generally hate the whole win now. I'm like, man, if we fail this season and the next season, like anything other than the Super Bowl, with these kind of moves that we're making, is it's going to hurt us, for so many years. It could. It just blow everything up.
It could, but you know what? We've been hurt before.
Yeah, you're right.
We can deal with it, man. My skin's thick enough from watching the Bucs, man. There's been so many games I've watched that I think they're gonna win. I remember the Giants game this past year, man. When they I think they had they were 2-1 maybe at the time, and they were up by 20 points at halftime or something.
Yeah.
To say, man, we got a team finally.
Yeah. And
then you just watched it slowly happen, and watching it, you aren't surprised. You just go, well. So I got my hopes up, a little too quick.
Oh man, let me tell you, when I watched that game, man, I was watching that game, and it felt like it was one of the bigger time I questioned the coach. I was like, yo, he's trying to salvage the whole first half. He's trying to make sure he doesn't. We're trying to make sure that we don't tarnish the first half performance somehow. I'm like, so everything stopped being aggressive, and it just went to hell, man. I'm like, holy crap. Because what was the quarterback? The quarterback ended up getting injured. No, the young rookie came in. Of course,
it was the rookie guy.
Yeah, and he, stuff that we ain't prepared for. He just started, running for touchdowns instead of, everything else. And then the offense didn't score anything but 3 points in the second half. I was just like, God.
Yeah, no, it was tough, man. I think the Jacksonville game was kind of like that too. They got this big lead, and they obviously they won the Jacksonville game. Jacksonville was probably a bad team at that point that they did that, but they were up like 25-0 at halftime or something like that. I don't think that was the exact score, but they were winning by a lot, and then they just kind of took their foot off. I don't know if they scored a second half touchdown on that game.
Don't even remember.
But they won, so I'll take the win.
Right. I know we killed whoever was that quarterback. I think we got like 5 or 6 sacks in that game against that cat, whoever he was.
Yeah, well, I think Foles and Minshew both played in that game.
They put Minshew in, I believe, in the late third quarter.
Yeah, I think they benched Foles because he was just getting beat up.
Yeah, that was rough. But no, I'm really, really looking forward to see what can happen this upcoming season, man. It's gonna be something. Again, I want to thank you for your time, man. And how can people reach you? I know I've put up your Twitter account for everybody to reach you on there. As far as people trying to reach you in inbox you or try to send you inquiries as far as products and future works and all that stuff, is there any way everybody can reach you?
Yeah, my email address is olive tattoos, olive like the fruit, OLIVE tattoos @gmail.com. A lot of people, most of my, I guess, audience, I'd say, is on Instagram, which is just @ScottOlive. You can private message me or whatever on that. I'm not on Twitter too much, so I'm not real. I mean, you saw how long it took me to get on the Skype. I'm kind of like that with the Twitter. I don't use it too much, but I like to get on there and kind of just see what people are talking with the Bucs. And I've had to be a little bit careful on there recently with all this quarantine stuff. I've been drinking a little bit at night, and so, oh man, I can't be just talking to these people I don't know when I'm drinking like this. So I had to put the Twitter down for a little bit. Not embarrass myself or anything like that. But email, Instagram. I have a website, scottolive.com. It's not super updated with a lot of stuff, but you can usually, it's got my contact information and stuff on there. But you can find me.
All right, cool. And also, I think there was a link to a store that you had as well. Is that still active for your work?
Yeah, the store, it's olivejuice.com, but juice is spelled JOOSE. I got some T-shirts on there, some and I got I'll be putting any of the new paintings that I make on there when they to make them available for if anybody's interested in them.
Cool. Well, man, Scott, man, I appreciate your time, dude. I can't wait to see your next piece of work, whatever it may be. I know you got a commission coming up for. Is it for a pro league or no?
It's for the Washington Capitals hockey team. So whenever they move forward with it, I'll put that out there in the atmosphere. But it's something that's not available to purchase or anything. But they made me do a cool little video. Had to edit my first video, so that was got a new respect for people that do video editing and stuff like that. So it's been doing the Bucs paintings kind of open up a new world for me. So we'll see where it goes. So hopefully do more. Maybe one day the team will reach out to me and do something.
Hey, God willing, sooner than later, man. I'll see if I can pull some strings. Let's see if I can pull some strings and see what happened there. We'll make something happen. We'll do it again. I appreciate your time, and more than anything, I guess I want to really just say I appreciate your work. Again, I'm a huge fan of artwork in so many different ways. I'm a huge fan of people who are content creators like yourself. The work is just dope. Like, obviously, I'm going to send links and everything in the podcast so that anybody who wants to follow you can. But the work is just awesome. And again, I thank you for your time. Hey, I appreciate it. You've been listening to Outside Leverage. I'm Robert Green. That is young Scott Olive, not Oliver, Scott Olive. Appreciate you. You're welcome. We out here.